I can still hear it, the singing. My mother only sang in Italy. After the trip, through tunnels and mountains and bridges and lakes and over borders. My mother only sang under those strong-smelling trees, and me floating above it, floating above my body, but unable to sleep, with the sheets pulled tight, that strange smell of the trees. Delirious as I was. Like shadows, the trees would move through the room. They would invite me to come with them. And I just couldn't fall asleep, my body shivering, and the happy voices of my sister and her friends playing outside. And then something strange happened while I was wide awake. As if the trees kept on asking me to join them. And I felt so intoxicated by their singing silver leaves. It was not that I was entering worlds, but worlds were entering me. They would come in the wooden room that was too hot, and like clouds I could see them coming, with my fragile body shaking. I would always think, oh, I'm too tired for this. I cannot, this will sweep me away. And it did, but it was okay. The cloud world would swallow me up whole. First a black cloud with emptiness and grabbing hands and tentacles and pulling and screaming. But then there was another one. A time here and time there one that I started to like somehow. I could move into older versions of me, not so much younger. Just move in other places and time. Somehow, I found the key. As right in the middle of this cloud in shivering and tiredness, I held still, so still, as I felt it move in me and accelerate, somewhere in my chest, faster and faster until I felt it launch. I could choose where to go. I could go to my parents sitting under the smelling trees drinking tea late at night while dusk was still coming. And I was flying above them, all looking down, seeing them putting little teaspoons in their cups under the tree. And then, all of a sudden, I was a full-grown woman. I stood on the border of a great yellow desert. Grains of sand cutting through my skin in a brutal wind, my nostrils blowing up in the sand, changing shapes around me, older than the oldest book, older than the oldest memory. Against my breast, I hold a tiny thing, a little creature. A little creature who drinks from it. Milk from deep within my bones, my fierce Dutch ancestors in it, with their sailing ships and proud flags. It drinks from my hunger. Hunger I started to listen to. And in his eyes, the terrible numbing patience of centuries. The creature so fragile, his knees are drawn up against me, holding my white breasts with his tiny hands, my eternal teenager breasts, so full of nourishment and promise. He's asleep and he's drinking. He has been a child so long, so long, I've carried and caressed him, breathing together, moving steadily over the yellow sand. He has lisped only 2 words, and only in this desert. Trust me. Then it is time to separate. I take his mouth from my bosom, and he bites me. Blood runs down onto the ground, and I feel the pain, wanting to press him back against me. But I lay him down on the earth and cover my wound as the sand blows in. The excitement swelling in my womb to now see it enter the world, as another door opens wide, a door in the middle in the desert, and I let it enter. Behind it, a dark river and the need to cross it, and hills and singing and flowers and water, so much water, in and over and through. A water snake smiling at me, dancing in another world. I bend over and stroke the creature's wings now. I see the hair on my forehead turned white as snow, as I am changing from youth to age. The smell of the trees still with me, the smell of an intoxicating tree. I was asleep, but not asleep, as I was now my old self, looking back on life. "She is delirious," my mother said. "Let's put some cold cloth on her forehead. She hasn't slept for days." It was always there, under the trees, in that little camping in Tenuta Primero, after the long, long trip for many days, through tunnels and mountains and bridges and lakes and borders.